What's up, everybody? Welcome back, and today we're talking about rallies. Rallies that are utilized in squad, or better yet, underutilized in squad. And if you're not really familiar with what a rally can do for you, we're going to discuss that today. But first, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a comment down below, and let's get to it. In squad, there's a few different ways you can spawn on the battlefield. Obviously, you can spawn at main, you can spawn on a hab or a forward operating base somewhere out in the field, and then there's the rally. The rally is placed by a squad leader. It costs about 50 ammo, and they can carry it just about wherever with them until they drop it. They can only hold one on them at a time, but if they rearm, they can place another, which will replace the previous placed rally. A rally is found in the SL's inventory. By scrolling on your scroll wheel, you can see it pop up on the right. You simply left click on the ground to place it. But there are a couple things you'll need to place it, but we'll get to that in a second. The squad lead can also pick up that rally, rearming their rally by walking up to it and hitting F. This allows the SL to restock their rally and replace it or put it back down on the field whenever they see fit. Now, this is a squad specific spawn, so only those in your squad can utilize the rally, and it's on a rolling 60-second timer, so you're going to be spawning in waves. The beauty is that you don't need a radio to place the rally, you just need the rally bag equipped on the squad leader, and the squad leader just needs one infantryman of his squad with him to place it, unless you're a crewman, in which you would need 3 additional squad members to place your rally. There is no exclusion radius. This can be placed anywhere on the map, with only the restriction that there isn't enemy infantry somewhere within about 50 meters of where you are placing the rally. If you try to place the rally and you do have enemy infantry within that 50-meter range, the rally timer will reset, meaning you'll have to wait about 120 seconds to place the rally. Now, regardless as to whether you clear that enemy infantry within those 50 meters or you just wait to reposition, you're still going to wait the 120 seconds. Now, if enemy infantry or an enemy vehicle comes within about 30 meters of an active rally that has been placed on the ground by the squad lead, it will do what we call burning. That means the rally will disappear and no longer be functional for your squad. You can still replace it later if you rearm, but that one is gone. Now, one benefit to having a rally is that even if they do burn because hostile forces come close to it, it doesn't cost you any tickets. But regardless of how you decide to use it, it is beneficial to place these, giving your squad an additional spawn point in case things go sideways, or giving the ability to project your infantry somewhere if it's too difficult to get a hab down. So now that we understand the basics of placing rallies, let's go over what they can be utilized for. There's a couple different trains of thought on what the best way to use rallies are. Sometimes they're placed in order to defend radios. Let's say you're putting down a radio in a somewhat hostile environment, or it's just a defensive radio. You might place a rally somewhere near that radio, maybe 50 to 75 meters away, so that if something happens to the radio, your squad can spawn on the rally to support the radio. Something worth mentioning in this scenario would be to keep the rally sort of away from the hab that the fob is tied to. That way, if the hab does go offline, considering it's a larger target, a little bit easier to find, your rally is still available. So in this example, if the enemies are pushing in from the north and they're disrupting your ability to spawn on the hab, you still have your rally to either self-destruct the radio or potentially push back onto the hab to get it back operational. So obviously this is more of a defensive stance with regards to the radio and the rally placement. Now, another way that folks will tend to use a rally in a defensive position is more of an alarm. Meaning if the rally is placed in a specific spot, they're using the rally getting burned as a way to indicate where enemies might be or where they're pushing from. So in this scenario, the rally might be placed much closer to the radio itself, or it's going to be positioned at a point where they think enemies might push from. That way, if there is some sort of enemy flank happening towards your radio, you can be alerted ahead of time as long as you are paying attention. Now, obviously, rallies can get burned in these type of positions just because they're on like a flank of a radio. So it just happens. But ultimately, I wouldn't place a rally specifically to alert you of what's happening. I would place a rally to react. Typically, if I'm playing defense, I'm going to place a rally in a place to support whatever I'm doing on defense, whether it's setting up a radio, a hab, or just defending a position. It's meant to last so that we can sustain that defense. So I would say it is important to find positions for your rallies that are somewhat safe and distant enough that you can still provide whatever you need to provide in terms of infantry to support whatever your objective is. Now, if you've watched my mech infantry guide, you have some ideas about how you can use rallies for attack. But regardless of whether you have some sort of vehicle, let's take a look at how you can use rallies for an attack. So let's assume that the enemy team controls West Stepney, and a lot of their logistics and everything are coming from their main, which is towards the northwest corner of the map, the top left. Now, if you've watched a few of my videos, you know I've talked about the white line, and that is again something I'm going to try to avoid when placing a rally or moving my infantry forward. So if a lot of their movement is coming from the northwest corner of the map, I'm going to be looking to actually try to apply pressure from the east. Now, given this situation, it might be safe to assume that they could have a hab somewhere towards the north or northwest of the objective. Now, obviously, knowing if the hab is there or not is going to rely on the intel you're gathering from your team. But something I talked about in our mechanized infantry video, and I'll talk about again here, is being able to sustain positions. You don't necessarily want to go straight at the objective to try to take that over. If they can continue to spawn and push you off of it, you're really not gaining any ground. Whereas if you can make some sort of strong attack to disrupt the enemy's ability to support their hold on West Stepney, you may make more progress at actually capping the objective. Because at a minimum, you are forcing the enemy to defend their hab in that position as well, meaning some enemies may come off objective to help defend, or they're just redirecting their attention. And if timed well and planned, your team can actually make a stronger push onto the objective itself. So with all that said, I'm going to be looking to place my rally somewhere where there is cover and there is some sort of passage or cover to get to where I need to end up. Now, as an SL, you do have to keep in mind that placing the rally in the distance from the objective is sort of situational. You don't want it too far because the spawns are slower, meaning, again, it's going to be harder to sustain that attack. But you don't want it too close that it gets burned shortly after placing it, because then it's pretty much wiped anyway. And as you spawn in and make an attack, it is very common for the enemies to start following where your attack is stemming from, meaning they may start to push your rally. That's part of the plan to some degree. You may not ever get to the hab to fully disable it, but you are pulling enemies off of the objective. But this is where rearming the SL becomes very significant. Having a couple riflemen in your squad that have an ammo bag that stays stocked and being able to pull a new rally before the old one is burned is critical. As an SL, I'll typically rearm my rally as often as possible. I'll try to ensure that I have the ability to place a new one down if the old one gets burned, or if it's just non-effective in terms of whatever our objective is. Like if the enemy decides to send 2 squads of infantry at our rally just to try to hold the line and we're not making any progress, that's a good time to actually try to replace the rally, attack from a different angle. And that is another benefit of the rallies, is that you can quickly, with ammo, move them and reposition them to attack from multiple areas, constantly being on the move and making your enemy have to react to that. More advanced players are going to use rallies very frequently to give them more options for spawning, but also give them more angles for attack or defense. Having more positions to spawn at and more lanes to attack from is going to make it more difficult for the enemy to make progress, hold objectives, and really understand what's happening sometimes during a round. Now, there are some sort of rapid fire tips I would like to attach to rallies and how you can utilize them. So first, be sure to place rallies in cover. Placing it out in the open, sometimes vehicles or enemy infantry can actually see the spawns happening. When you spawn on a rally, you're typically standing upright next to it, so it's easy to see in an open field or an environment where there is no cover. Be mindful to keep rallies away from roads or main areas of transportation, especially by the enemy team, because you only have about 30 meters of protection before a vehicle can drive by and burn the rally. So keeping it away from roads can typically increase longevity of that rally. Don't forget that the insurgent faction has buddy rallies, which means an SL can actually select the rally of another squad that has been placed down and attach their rally to that rally, meaning you can exponentially increase the force that you have in an area by having multiple squads spawn on the same rally. A very beneficial thing, and only the insurgents have that. Don't forget that a rally costs 50 ammo to rearm. A rifleman can hold 100 ammo in his ammo bag, so you could get at least 2 rallies off that if the ammo is not used for something else. And of course, you can obviously rearm off of the ammo boxes or vehicles out in the field too to help you keep your rallies. I would primarily recommend using rallies to create new angles of attack, new positions, and give yourself options so that you don't just get stuck defending a hab if the enemies push themselves towards the hab. Give yourself the opportunity to move your squad away from the hab just a little bit to help defend it or to attack from that position. I've talked a little bit about how speed can be a very valuable asset in the squad, and rallies play into that. Your ability to place down a rally and create a spawn point with leaving minimal footprint that it's even there can be huge to actually outmaneuvering your enemy and attacking places where they don't expect you to be. There's plenty more I can throw in here, but ultimately I would say the last tip I have for you is just to use the darn things. Too many times I've seen situations where squad leads aren't placing them down and therefore they can't assist with certain stuff. Like if there's a defensive position that you're losing, the hab is offline, and the squad that was there for defense didn't ever place down a rally, you're missing an opportunity to potentially hold that defense, hold that fob, because you didn't do something very simple at the beginning. Or maybe that squad is on attack and decides to hot drop before they ever place a rally down, making their push kind of a one and done. And if they're wiped, that's it. You've lost the tickets and you've lost any sort of sustainable way of attacking that objective because you didn't place a rally down. I've spent many games also just living off of rallies, not spawning on as many habs or in main, and just trying to find ways of sort of valuing how to utilize the rally in the best way possible. And that doesn't mean where I'm set up is not helpful to the team. Instead, I'm trying to find different angles of attack, because while I know some SLs are less experienced or some squads are just less experienced, they may be attacking off the hab because it's faster and they can get to a place quicker. Whereas my group may be spawning off a rally because we feel like we can be more effective from that angle of attack. So if you decide to SL, or if you are an SL and you're not using rallies or weren't really sure how to utilize them, I hope this is helpful for you. Ultimately, experiment, try placing rallies down at different positions. Gaining map knowledge about how things maneuver during a round can be really helpful, and this can help guide your decision making. I hope you found the video helpful. Be sure to like, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below with your thoughts, and I'll see you next time.